Well guys, the day we've been waiting 5 years for to finally see gameplay of the next Halo game is here, and I have a ton of mixed feelings, because I was super excited for it, and I'm not disappointed. I don't know, I've rewatched the gameplay like 10 times at this point, and I don't really know what to think about a lot of stuff. Overall, I'm pleased, but not as excited as I was hoping I would have been, so let's just kind of get into it. So just kind of starting off with the story stuff, we'll get to the gameplay obviously in a second. But the story, we still know really nothing about. We know that it's going to take place in 2560, which is cool, so it's 2 years after the events of Halo 5. We also know about a new character who's going to be the Brute leader of Installation 07. His name is Escarum, I believe is how you pronounce it, I may be wrong. But the cutscene with him at the end also mentions someone called the Harbinger, which could be Cortana or the Created or something kind of in that realm. And through some other articles and stuff, we've also gotten some information about this game, including that this game is going to kind of serve as the conclusion of the Forerunner saga, which obviously makes sense. And they also said that this game, in addition to being a spiritual reboot, is going to kind of be the last standalone Halo game for a while. They're going to kind of keep adding on to it, and not in like a live service sense, but they're going to add on story stuff to this, which is an interesting element. We'll have to see how that goes. I don't want it to get too live servicey like something like Destiny, but that is interesting, and that kind of makes sense for this to kind of be their final stopping point, and then they kind of can go off this and go do some later, like some more stuff based just off this game later. I also really like, kind of story-wise, the interaction between the pilot, who we still don't know his name, and Chief, just kind of their like rapport and the scenes together. I think it's pretty cool. It's something different that we haven't really seen in Halo, and I think it'll be cool, and I think it's an interesting direction to take a lot of the story stuff for this game, especially seeing how it seems like there will be, at least in the beginning of the story, a lot of time spent with just these two and kind of their interaction. So I do think that's cool. Now, obviously, we got to address the elephant in the room concerning this gameplay demo. The graphics look kind of terrible for like a good amount of it. I wasn't exactly sure why, because I was trying to like really put my finger on what the problem was, because when they first start with the thing and there's the reveal of the assault rifle, it looks terrible. Like, it looks bad, it looks flat, there's just no texture to it, and I don't know why. And that was just a terrible, like, kind of first impression for it, and I just don't really know what's up. It feels like most of the environmental graphics, like, with all the, like, grass and stuff, and the textures kind of on the ground and in the environment all look pretty solid, and a lot of like with the light and stuff all looks pretty good, but then a lot of the structures, like when you look in the distance, it just looks terrible. Like, a lot of people compare it to Minecraft, and I understand why. And for that to be like the next gen Halo game, the Halo game that comes out in 2020, the Xbox Series X, all this like stuff how they're hyping it up, that's really disappointing. And this isn't people being like, oh, you guys wanted the classic art style back, this is what it looks like. Like, no, I've even seen a lot of the like screenshots that people are hating on of just like the enemies, and they look perfect, and I don't really understand why. A lot of the shots just in the thing look terrible, and again, not talking about the art style, because like a lot of it I think looks amazing. Obviously Chief's armor we've talked about a bunch, but the grunts, the elites, the jackals, all the different enemies, the brutes, they all look perfect. They all look how they should have looked in the past couple of games. They didn't. And it's not, like I said, the art style, because I think most of that is great. It's just graphically and how a lot of the environment and structures are textured that just looks terrible, and I'm not really sure why. So hopefully that changes with the final game, and obviously, as always with these things, it is going to look compressed on YouTube when you're viewing it through a thing, but that still isn't really an excuse, since we've seen gameplay demos that absolutely look incredible. Even some of when they showed off the Xbox Series X first gameplay at that like terrible event in May, there were even some games there that looked incredible, so I'm not really sure what the deal was with that. We'll just have to hope that changes in the future. Also, we did get the pretty much official confirmation, if you didn't know already, that this game is going to be semi-open world, kind of from some of the articles and stuff they've talked about. They've said that the entire game is not going to be like that, but this is going to be one of the parts where you're just kind of let loose on the ring to like take on different objectives in the way that you want. Reminiscent, obviously, as we've talked about, of Halo CE, the mission Halo. Very, very reminiscent of that. And there is actually a full-on map, which I think is really interesting. And one thing that I was kind of worried about, just with the main like example that we get on here, we see the map and then we see like 3 little objectives. I believe it's all anti-air guns that you have to take out, and my main worry right now is just with the variety, including those objectives. They all need to be drastically different, have a bunch of different enemies, have the environments be different, because if it's just the same thing like kind of replicated 3 times, it's going to get boring really fast, and just not what I really want for my Halo campaign. I think the open world kind of approach to it is something really cool, and they also talked about how focused they are on making it a sandbox experience, which is what Halo campaigns should be. That's why CE is so successful and one of the best campaigns in the series, is just for that sandbox focus. So if they can kind of continue that here without going too far into it, without kind of losing the identity of the franchise, that's the perfect middle ground, and that is the goal, and I do hope they are able to do that. We did also get confirmation that there is going to be a day-night cycle in the game, which is kind of cool, kind of going with that same theme of the open world, so I think that is really interesting. Now let's move on to the big focus being the actual gameplay, which we didn't get that much, which I was kind of disappointed about. But I don't even know what to think. When I was like kind of caught by surprise because I didn't think. What do you like even think when you've been thinking about a game for 5 years straight? Like, what can you even like expectations can you set that they're gonna reach? So I don't really know what to think. But my main takeaway, at least at first, was well, so some basic stuff we'll get to in a sec, but lots of new weapons, like way more than I was expecting. Normally we'd see like 1 or 2, but nearly every weapon we saw was a new weapon besides the assault rifle, which is pretty interesting. We'll get to some of the more specific ones in a sec, because some I like, some I don't like, but I did think that was kind of cool and just interesting that there were so many new weapons. Obviously, they waste no time showing. Sprint is back. Hate it or love it, I think most of us knew it was going to be in the game. So Sprint's back. That I've always been pretty indifferent towards Sprint, so I think that's fine. Also, something interesting, aim down sights, or smart scope as it's called in Halo 5, we don't really see in any weapons besides the scoped weapon, which is like, or the DMR kind of equivalent that they're making, which it's not the DMR, it's like a completely new weapon. But we don't see aim down sights, I believe, in any weapons besides it. I may be wrong, but I think that's great, because aim down sights with the assault rifle in Halo 5 and how they had it for every gun was stupid and, it was terrible. So I do think that's interesting. If they can kind of keep that in the final game, I think that'll be cool. Also, we didn't really see any Spartan abilities, no clamber, no ground pound, no Spartan charge, none of that. All that should be gone, I think, because that's all terrible. Especially Spartan charge is god-awful. We also see the new shotgun, which we did get confirmation in an IGN article with the developer interview that will be replacing the classic shotgun. And I think the design's fine. I don't really have a problem, but I hate the sound it makes. I think it's terrible, and I just, like, I just don't like what they've done with it. I like the shotguns from the classic games, or even the Reach shotgun, I still really appreciate. I don't love the Halo 4 or 5 one, like most of the art design choices. But the sound, if they can change that, that's my main gripe with that. The battle rifle we also saw, it looks great. Finally the battle rifle looks like the battle rifle again, not whatever that thing was supposed to be in Halo 4, so that's really cool. We also did get confirmation that there is equipment that you will be able to pick up, like we saw the examples in the demo. We saw the drop wall, which is kind of like a shield, but you can shoot through it. We don't know if that's just going to, well, obviously it's one way, but it is going to be a shield that you can shoot through, which I think is kind of cool. And also the grappling hook, which we now know is called the grapple shot, which I actually was pretty cool. Like, I thought it was cool that we got to see so many uses for it. You can like bring people to you, you can bring different objects to you, like fusion coils, and you can like grapple up to stuff, and it seems like it has a lot of different uses, so I do think that is cool. However, they did also confirm that these different equipments will be available in multiplayer, which, again, depending on how they implement it, could be well done, could not. Again, we just still know so little, even with this game coming out in like 4 months. It's so frustrating, since especially multiplayer, that was the main thing that I really wanted to see. Obviously, I love seeing campaign gameplay, but multiplayer is a thing that you're going to be playing for years and years on end, so I obviously really want to see that. So I do think that's cool. Obviously, how they implement it, once again, will depend on if it's well done or not, but a grappling hook in multiplayer, I don't know. I can't say anything until I actually see it in action, see how it's used on the maps and all that. But if it is used like Halo 3 equipment, I do think there's a chance it could be well done. Also, while looking on the map screen, we do see that there's going to be an upgrade tab of some sort, which we did get a little bit more information in the IGN article about that, where they just said it'll kind of be some equipment based. A few upgrades for Master Chief, nothing too crazy. Again, we'll have to see, just we don't know anything about it, so we don't know how it'll go. But that is something completely new for Halo, so again, we'll have to see. I already talked about picking up the fusion coil. I think that's a really cool feature. It's something I've wanted in the games for a while. Just be able to pick them up and throw them at people, and that's really cool. In addition to some of the new weapons we're getting, we also saw the Mangler, which seems to be a new version of the Mauler, which it's fine. I think it's cool the Mauler's back in addition to a lot of the Brute weapons. I would have loved to see like the Brute Shot or something, or just some more classic weapons I think would have also been cool, because we saw so many new ones that literally the only old weapons we really saw were the Plasma Grenade. We saw enemies firing with Needlers, Plasma Pistol, and like Assault Rifle. I think that's about it. So that's, hopefully we'll see more in the future. Also, the Spike Grenade is back. Obviously, the Brutes, that makes sense. And also, we do see, in addition to there being Sprint, we do see a Slide ability, which makes sense. And it does kind of seem like they are kind of doing a middle ground with the Enhanced Mobility, because, like I said, they took out all the terrible Spartan abilities, but they are still keeping in, like, Sprint and Slide, which I'm fine with that. Most shooters have that now. And again, I know that's not the classic experience that a lot of people want, and it's not the classic experience that I would really want, but I still like it more than Halo 5. So if they're at least going some direction towards a more classic experience, even if it's not all the way, I'll still appreciate it. Also, we do see, like I was saying, some weird evade feature, like kind of like evade from Reach, which I don't really know what that's about. We'll have to see if that's like an ability that you just always have, but that is another ability that's kind of cool. Also, something else that I noticed was Brutes throwing grunts seems to be a thing. When he goes up the little platform and he's fighting all the people on the top, that does seem to be a new kind of thing that I guess enemies can do. Whatever, that seems kind of stupid, but it also is kind of fun, so I don't have a huge problem with it. Also, we saw another new weapon called the Pulse Carbine, which was kind of weird. I thought at first it was just going to be the Carbine, but no, it's like a weird combination. It's like an automatic carbine kind of, so like a weird combination of the Carbine and the Storm Rifle, or the Carbine and the Plasma Repeater, which that was kind of weird. And hopefully, I still want the classic weapons in the game. I still want like the Carbine, so hopefully they are there. But yeah, I mean, there really wasn't that much. It was I believe the demo on YouTube is like 8 minutes, and a good amount of that's the cutscene, and then the little cutscene at the end, so really not that much. And I've already watched it like 20 times, at least since like the conference has ended. And I'm pleased, but I just want to see more. And I don't know, like I said, what expectations I could have set for myself, but the whole thing, besides like the graphics, just feels like it has a huge lack of polish. It doesn't feel done, it doesn't look done, it feels more like an alpha than a game that's coming out in like 4 months. It is the end of July, almost August. This game is launching with the Series X, unless it gets delayed, but they're not going to launch the Series X without Halo because that's not going to go well, and I don't think they're going to delay the Series X, so I don't know what they're going to do, because this game does not feel like it's ready to be released, unless there's so much stuff they're not showing. But even when they finally did show gameplay like they did today, it just doesn't feel done, it doesn't look done, it doesn't look like a 2020 game, and I just don't believe that this is going to successfully release in a few months. It does not feel that way. I wanted to see more. I wanted them to at least do like a CG trailer or something for multiplayer, announce that the beta dates or anything. They did say in a Halo Waypoint article that they're like, yeah, flighting, we've had, obviously, with the virus, they're like, had to rework some stuff, and that's completely understandable. But still, like, there's no beta, like, date announcements. It has been 5 years. We are literally in, like, the home stretch for them to, like, do stuff. And for them to still be, like, holding out a little bit is incredibly frustrating. So, I don't know. Like I said, I enjoyed it. I just wasn't blown away like I wanted to be. For being an E3 demo where you're supposed to, like, wow your audience, like, especially for this being Halo, one of the biggest franchises of all time, the spiritual reboot, one of the most hyped games I've seen in years. To not have something that you're supposed to hype your audience with, or just wow them with, just was really disappointing, especially since this seemed like a pretty mundane encounter in the game. Like, you just going out, taking out some people in AA gun, there's no, like, cool boss fight, there's no, like, really cool notable moment. It's just, I don't know, maybe it's more reflective of, like, kind of the nature of the game where you're, like, kind of in an open world, but as cool as that is, show that and then show something that wows the audience, because I understand you wanting to show that because it kind of encompasses your game, but you need to do a little bit more, especially when this game has so much excitement. There are people, like, that I didn't even know, like, played Halo or knew about Halo. They were all streaming this event, they wanted to see it, and I can't help but feel that a lot of them are a little disappointed. And including myself, because I just want to see much more. What we did see, aside from the graphical issues, I just wasn't blown away, and I really wanted to be. I just think it was solid, but not anything to, like, as close, like, to as much as I wanted to see. And I did like it a lot, but there are also some things I'm worried about, and honestly, like I said, I'm a little disappointed. Anyways, let me know what you guys think about all that. When do you guys think we're going to see some multiplayer? What did you guys think of every element of the Halo Infinite gameplay demo? Are you a little disappointed like me? What do you think about all the new weapons? What do you think about the graphical issues? And just what are your thoughts about this game actually releasing in a few months? Because mine are a little skeptical. Anyways, let me know what you guys think about all that. Thank you all for watching. Majestic Gaming.